Yeah.
There we go.
That's probably
Look at that. That's about as good as I think that's about as good as we can get today, sir.
Perfect. You want to balance this out and move the guitar over?
No, that's okay.
All right.
That's all right. Look, we've got some. Okay, first of all, we don't want to show this guitar too much.
This guitar, yeah.
Because we don't want to.
That's right.
But those other two on the end, we can show those, and the one right in the middle here.
Oh yeah, this one.
We can show that one too,
Or
because
one.
that one's available. Yep, and Jeffrey, hey Joel, hey Joey Dano, hey Doc. So all right, well, all Chris Hendricks is here. All right, everybody's here.
Cool.
All the cool
That's
people are in,
that's
so
all
we can get started. Yeah.
That's all we need.
And it's 10 o'clock. Hey, everybody. It's Matt with Texas Toast. And to my left, your right, I had to look at my hand to make sure I was right, is my good friend, Brian Duncan. Brian, how are you today?
I'm outstanding. It's a beautiful spring day in the Mile High City. And
did you convertible here?
I did not. It's a little chilly when I left
maybe when you go home.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. So Chris Hill is coming by today from Odyssey Beer Works.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think around 3. I'm not sure what you and I are going to get into today until 3, but
yeah, we'll see.
There's all sorts of trouble we can get into.
Yeah.
So Chris is on vacation,
Mm-hmm.
and we are still doing some work. And thank you for helping me with the live thing. I hope that I got the all the stuff right on the thumbnail. I probably didn't.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that anybody is more well-versed at or is better qualified to talk about this topic than the two of us. So, Brian, today we're going to talk about the most overrated feature on any guitar. Now, there's no wrong answer. There's no right answer. This is all opinion.
Yeah.
So, but because I'm sure that what I say, someone's going to go, well, that's dumb. And what you say, someone's going to go, that's the only thing I can think of or whatever.
Yep.
So I'm going to go first and then we'll get to the comment section. I think that the most overrated feature on any guitar is a bridge that won't intonate. You know, like because it looks like an old one or something, or and you know what? As I say that, how much does it really have to intonate? Like it's probably like
if the guitar's built correctly and set up right, it should be pretty damn close.
Yeah. But like I think that something that looks vintage for the sake of looking vintage on a new guitar, which would essentially be like a clone guitar at that point. Like I think like the Gibson Juniors, the Les Paul Juniors with that bridge, like I think a Leo Quan Badass would be a way neater bridge on that.
Yeah.
And be more in tune in some areas. What do you think is the most overrated feature on any guitar?
Well, it's not on every guitar, but I think
on any guitar.
On any guitar, I think is locking nuts. I just don't.
I thought you were going to say trem for sure. Like any trem.
But a lot of guys play trem and are really good at it. It's just not something I do. And I have some guitars with trem on them. But the locking nut itself is, to me, if everything else is done right, even on a Floyd, you shouldn't need the.
You could have locking tuners,
right,
which would lock it in most of the way.
Right.
And then if the nut is, it's a big if.
It is
if the nut is right.
I said if everything's done correctly.
Yeah.
So there's that, but that's kind of my biggest. The other thing is, and you'll find this funny that I say this, but for a lot of guys, 24 frets is just ridiculous. 22.
You're going to make a lot of friends with that, I think, because there are people that they'll be like these math guys that chime in. Actually, the 24th fret is exactly where the distance of the.
The thing about it is, and I have a few guitars that have 24, and I play them, and but not a lot. But way before I ever heard of a 24 fret guitar, I was still able to get up there and shred where I wanted to with 22.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So it just it's overrated unless you're using it.
I have met one person, which doesn't mean anything, that actually uses all 24 frets. That's just because I don't hang around with a lot of shred kind of guy, you know, like Jim and Brett and my buddy Jeff LaQuatra. They're all they're all really good guitar players who like can solo, and I think they kind of lean into like kind of the more bluesy kind of solos, not the more
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get up into the 14, 15, 16 range, but for the most part,
I think they sound the coolest.
Yeah,
that's what I like. So, but yeah, I think that a lot of people say things like the pickup needs to be exactly at this spot, and I'm like, well, do you still need to have 2 more frets to do that? Why don't you just scooch the pickup back? Yeah, if that's really the thing. Yeah. Let's see what everybody has to say about what they think the most overrated feature on any guitar is. And Doug Seidlitz actually says locking tuners and over glorification of vintage specs. So he kind of agrees with us.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. He's in the ballpark. Yeah,
I like the idea of locking tuners, but I don't like them on my guitars.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I guess it's technically easier, but I kind of like the Zen wrapping the tune, wrapping the string around and doing that stuff. I like
locking tuners just for the ease of stringing and guitar. That's what I like about it, period.
Hi, Joy. How are you? Let's see. Doc says stainless steel frets get my vote. Ooh, now that's a good one.
Concur, yes.
I made a video about like, do you really need stainless steel frets? And I wasn't like, ha, you think you need stainless steel frets. But I think that's the way some people took it, because people like to be adversarial and they want conflict and they love to bitch about stuff. Right. So, but I'm like, if you want stainless steel frets, go ahead and have them. But here's something about stainless steel frets. I don't know anyone who has ever been able to tell me the composition of, there's like 25 or 125 or 2 million different kinds of stainless steel. Yeah. Which one is it that, and for durability is no one says I need stainless steel frets because of corrosion resistance. They're like, Eddie Van Halen said, here's what everybody who says stainless steel frets are necessary. Eddie Van Halen has it. So everybody else should shut up.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Billy Gibbons doesn't say that. So everybody else should shut up.
Right. I think, and I'm not trying to offend anybody here, but to me, if you've ever had to work with stainless steel frets, you wouldn't like them at all. But the other thing is, it's kind of one of those things that people read too much sometimes.
Sure.
And you need to shut up and play your guitar. Does it really matter in the long run with the stainless steel? But that's just me.
And some people have a lighter touch than others too.
That's true.
So like Eddie Van Halen must have wrestled with the guitar. Like obviously he didn't wrestle with playing the guitar. He knew more about playing the guitar than just about anybody. Right. But like he must have just put a death grip on those things. And you look at someone who, like another equally well-versed guitar player, say Eric Clapton, has a really light touch, probably. Yeah. Okay, so does Eric Clapton say you need stainless steel frets? I've never read it.
Yeah,
okay. Let's see. Martin Murray says the tone knob. I couldn't agree more. Tone knobs are dumb.
I use my tone knob.
Okay, what do you do with what does it get you?
It'll give you a little bit more bite for soloing. I don't use it all the time.
You mean like you turn it down to regularly play and then crank it up for solos?
Not all the time, but sometimes I do.
Okay.
Especially in a quieter part of the song where or a somber, mellow song.
Yeah.
And you want it to be a little warmer and less bright. And so I do in that case.
The way that I play, I just turn everything up on everything, and then that's the whole thing. Yeah. Jeffrey Egan says locking tuners are for those of us who hate changing strings.
Yes,
absolutely. Joel says definitely the trem for me. He hates them. I don't know a lot of people who play with trems and like use them and like have that be a feature of their playing. Like I said, I think a lot of the guys who I know, Brett, for example, I don't know if I ever told you this, when Hawk Attack started, it's been almost 18 years. I put an ad in Facebook, or MySpace, maybe or Craigslist or something. And I said, have bass, will travel, which was a lie. I'd really like to say that I like everything from AC/DC to ZZ Top, but I only like those two bands. And so Brett called me immediately, and he's like, "It's like you're my new BFF." So yeah,
that's awesome.
So yeah, so I kind of like that no trem.
I have a good friend, Pat Searcy, that plays. He's a Berkeley grad, blah blah blah, and he plays trem, and it is definitely not overrated in his hands. It's a integral part of it.
Yeah, that's the way that he plays.
That's right. Yeah.
Doc says that he agrees with you, Brian. 24 frets are probably 4 more than necessary, but that's just an opinion. Stein's Utopia monkey grip. You don't see monkey grips very much anymore.
I don't even know if I ever
remember the Ibanez Steve Vai gem that has the handle.
Yeah, the monkey grip.
Yeah. I think that's a cooler feature than just screwing a handle to the guitar. Like I don't know that anybody's ever done that, but yeah,
which is a good idea.
Yeah, like a briefcase handle for a guitar.
On the horn, yeah.
From now on, all guitars should have that. Chris Hedrick says, locking anything, tuners, straps, trims, unlock your tone. What do you think about locking strap buttons? Do you use those?
I used to use them all the time, but that was when I was playing, 4 or 5 nights a week for 3 or 4 hours. And yeah, I've dropped a few guitars over the years, so I used to use them back then.
What's a bummer is like, oh no, I don't have the right strap, so now I can't.
So I had to anything I had them on, I had to put them all the same on there.
Yeah.
So I've since taken them all off because I don't play that much anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, they were invaluable in the day.
Back in the olden days,
yeah,
which was probably like a year ago. Doug Santaniello says locking tuners look too bulky on the headstock. Sometimes they do, because there's locking tuners and then there's locking tuners, I guess.
Yeah.
Amanda is here. Everyone's saying hi to her. Homegrown Son says piezo. How do you say it? Piezo?
I always say piezo, but I've heard piezo.
Yeah.
Piezo.
Piezo bridges are probably the most overrated feature that's usually falls way short of true acoustic tones they claim. We did, on, Anthony Icavangelo from Flipside Music, the great American guitar store. His icon is maybe certainly one of the only icons with a one of those Fishman piezo bridges.
Yeah.
It sounds pretty neat, but that guitar is mostly acoustic anyway. Yeah. So yeah, it's not like you put it on a Strat and like expect to sound like something that
I agree with that for the most part, but I gotta say I have 2 guitars now, acoustic guitars that have the LR bags, and it's piezo and the microphonic, so it's a blend, and you can blend them together, and the blend is a really cool feature because you can get a really nice tone out of them. But other than that, on their own, I would agree.
I have been told that, like those pedals that are supposed to acoustic simulator pedals, that they all suck. I don't know.
One I like that.
But I wonder, why is it so impossible to get? You can get a pedal to do all kinds of cuckoo stuff. Why can't you make it sound like an acoustic?
Yeah,
I guess it's probably a bunch of synth stuff.
Yeah, it depends on the quality of the pedal and how much time are you willing to spend dialing it in,
or how drunk your audience is. They're it sounds
great, man. Yeah. And that's the other thing is a lot of this stuff the audience doesn't care.
Yeah. Loring says all monkey grip would be a great guitar. all monkey grip. Yeah. Dan says thinking 3 pickups should only be on Strats. Ooh, that's cool though. But Dan, what about the Les Paul custom with 3 pickups? Those are cool, dude.
I wouldn't use all 3, but I think they look cool.
Brad Guitar Miller says the Hipshot tuners are not as bulky as most. That's true. Especially the uncovered back jobs. Loring says next with skunk stripes and single acting truss rods are overrated. So Loring, I think I agree with you. I think let's say next with rosewood fretboards and skunk stripes. Because obviously you don't need the skunk stripe if you're not using a 1-piece neck. And I think that single acting rods are I think those are pretty. You know what? I'm changing my answer to go. I think single acting truss rods are pretty dumb.
Yeah, that's pretty dumb. Yeah, they should go both ways. The only thing I'd say about the skunk stripe and with the truss rod is that, or a rosewood fretboard, whatever. The only thing I would say about that is I think that's maybe a manufacturing efficiency thing, because they make all their necks that
way. They probably have all the necks go into a thing, and they're like, all these are getting the same deal, whether they have a fretboard glued on later or not.
Yes, but that I understand why you might have that.
Yeah, because you're right, Brian. Like, I mean, you know as well as anybody that you jig up one time to do something. If you do 10 or 10,000, it's way easier than jigging up once and making one and then taking it all back down.
Jigging up takes as long as doing the just doing it. So you have to do it again, and you're wasting time.
And I think like at Fender, there's probably a CNC program that like just put it in there, and then that way people think that's part of a Fender neck. You know, they might not even know what that skunk stripe was originally for, much less.
But it's an aesthetic that
at this point, I got to have that. It's a Fender neck. It's got to have that. Yeah. Homegrown Son says, my dilemma is figuring out which P90 to use in a 3 P90 Telecaster. It's down to it's down to two. One, an underwound P90 set, scatterwound with magnetic poles, or a P90 more Jazzmaster style with bar magnets. Any suggestion? Well, Homegrown Son, let me tell you. My good friend Dylan McCurchie winds P90 pickups that I can tell the difference. Yeah. I like when I play his, that they just sound better. We've made some guitars with his P90s that are like magic guitars. And there's one floating around. It's a level 3. It's the best sounding P90 guitar I've ever heard. And it actually was damaged in shipping. It came back and got sold as a Maverick. And I was crushed. Chris and I had a big argument about it, because I'm like, no, that's a magic guitar. And it really was. It sounded great. It played great. It felt great. And it got damaged in shipping. And I was so mad. But the guy who has it now loves it. And so if you want a 3P90 instrument, I would call Dylan and say, here's what I want to do. That's the other thing. Dylan does everything like per order. So
it's all custom.
And so like, I realize that like Seymour Duncan has forgotten more about winding pickups in the last 10 minutes than I'm ever going to know. But when you can't call up Seymour Duncan and go, hey, can I talk to Seymour?
You can if you're Billy Gibbons.
Yeah. But you call up Dylan, and Dylan answers the phone, and you say, hey, I want 3 P90s. Here's what I kind of want him to do. He'll be able to, go, yeah, man, here's what I think we should do. And you'll have the pickups in not very long. So that's a cool thing.
I love the sound of P90s. I don't like the way they buzz. And it's also my issue with single coil. And so for me, P90s is, if you have 2 of them, is the middle position, because they don't buzz there. And maybe that's a wiring thing. Chris and I have talked about it.
Yeah, I actually like that P90s buzz.
You do?
Yeah, because that makes the lead singer shut up. There's no like, hey, I'm going to tell you all a story. Talk over this.
Turn down.
Butthead. Yeah. You've got it. Well, yeah, because everything's dimed. And you've got one P90 that's just squealing and like real pissed off sounding, and ready to. That there's no jokes. There's no stories in between songs. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, and just give them what they want. They all want to take up. They want to be clobbered over the head with rock and roll. Homegrown Son is okay. So Vaughn's the 10 AA amp pickup builder, his personal friend, and was one of the people. But we'll go to talk to him then. That's cool. Nick M says, not liking something on a guitar doesn't make it overrated. Well, Nick, I'm glad you're here, because I was hoping that someone would come and bellyache about something and whine and bitch, and that's kind of what we're doing here, man. We're giving you guys something to bitch about. So you're welcome.
That's right.
Hope you have a great day.
Nick, but I disagree.
It is personal. It's absolutely personal. I hope you run out of toilet paper today, Nick. Yeah, no, obviously I don't care. But I've been getting so much like grief from people who are like, I don't, I made that video on Sunday. That was it was basically a commercial. But if I say in the ad or in the thumbnail, commercial for Texas Toast, no one watches it. Like 6,000 or 7,000 people watched that dumb video. And for every butthead who said, I hate you and I hope your dog bites you or whatever they said to me. There's a lot of people who were like, so, okay, for example, we had a bunch of people sign up for workshops last night. Wow. I'm looking forward to meeting them. Cool. One guy is like, hey man, I really want to come out to that BC Rich one. That sounds cool. Can you send me an invoice that I can pay over time? I'm like, absolutely. Nice. Yeah. So yeah, you don't have to pay for a workshop all in one fell swoop. Right. Especially one that, like, I think that one's in, I don't know. Let's just say it's in October. I don't know when it is, but let's just say that. If you don't want to pay it all off all at once, you can pay it off. It's only April. I mean, you can pay it off for, May, June, July, August, September. And by the time October rolls around, it's way less painful.
Right.
So,
yep. All YouTubers are advertising what they do. So I don't know how you.
This is a business.
If you watch the TV news, they're advertising. Everybody's advertising. It's all about making money.
Nick says, I don't think I'm belly aching. Oh. Okay. I think you are. No, what's funny? I actually don't have toilet paper up here. Well, where do you live where you don't have toilet paper? Do you have 3 shelves? Are you in the future in that movie Demolition Man?
You're using pine cones?
Yeah. Yikes. You have the internet, but you don't have toilet paper? Nick, I hope that you didn't run out of toilet paper. I'm just goofing on you. Homegrown Son says it's priceless to have friends you feel safe enough around to say what you think without worrying about being politically correct. I love talking gear, guitars, and fellowship with other people like me. Well, that's cool, man. Yeah, right on. Nice. Oh, Nick's is in the upstairs bathroom where he has internet and it's just he doesn't have. Okay. Well, ha, Nick.
But it would suck if you're downstairs. You got to run upstairs to get the
TV. That's right. Well, just jump in the shower then, and then if there's any you just kind of push them through you get the idea. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think this has been a fun topic. I've had a lot of fun with this. Lauren Court says nitrocellulose lacquer. Ooh, where do you come down on nitrocellulose lacquer, Brian?
I really could give a shit one way or the other. I think for its time when it was used a lot, it was almost like the only choice, kind of, not really.
Well, you're right.
It's a timely thing, and I don't see the sense in doing it now. Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
Brad Guitar Miller, are you planning another PRS style workshop? Thank you for the super chat, Brad. For 2025, no, we're not. Here's why. We did the last one that we did. Was not very well attended. So I'm thinking maybe people just don't want to do it. And we again, here's the thing. Sometimes we offer things once and they go over really well. And then we offer them again. And then they kind of like, I don't want to do it. So we have to keep offering new stuff. And it's not cost effective for us to, do a bunch of classes where 1 or 2 people show up. So we still do those, right? But if that happens, then I'm kind of like, I'm not doing that again. Yeah.
Take a bath again.
Yeah. So it hurts us financially to close the shop for a week and have one guy here,
go ahead.
Especially because the PRS workshop was very expensive for me to put on, like just the components and all the stuff. I can't charge more than a PRS class or than a PRS costs for one that you make. Well, like nobody would do that. So,
to me, and
you've done it a couple times.
Twice I've done the PRS, and they're 2 of my favorite guitars now, and they were kind of the coolest to build. I mean, the only thing you're not doing is the arch top on the guitar, but everything else you're pretty much doing. And it's just a fun guitar to build, and they look and sound.
They look cool
and play great. So I don't understand why that happened. We've talked about, is it timing or what's going on? Why would that happen? But bottom line is you don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah.
And as you said, it's a business. So you got to do what's going to sell.
So Brad, if you can find some other guys that want to do it, I'll do it. How about that?
There you go.
But I can't offer it. We did one this year and it kind of sucked wind. So I can't What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Tone House Guitars. Homegrown Son says fretboard woods like ebony, overrated or priceless. Boy, guys who like ebony really, really like ebony.
Yeah.
Doc says, are you having Maximum Steve make the templates for the junior workshop? Doc, let's talk about that one later on. I think I know why you're asking, and let's talk about that later on.
A lot of things in the air right now.
Playing my cards kind of close to my vest on that one. Richard Ryan says that he's home at sick and Texas toast banter is a comfort. That's good. Nice. Chicken soup and TTG banter.
Chicken soup for the guitar player.
Dan says he really loved his PR Rouse class. Did you do yours with Dan, or was Dan Andreas? Yeah. Okay. So. Homegrown Son. I build guitars to donate to charity for fundraisers. Average cost anything ranges from $1,200 to $2,000 in parts alone, but the last guitar is over $9,000 for kids. That's cool, man. Yeah, that's a really neat thing.
Mm-hmm.
Doug says, cool shirt, Brian. And a guy holding says, does TT offer Nitro? Well, like, for example, this guitar here has nitrocellulose top coat. So we are experimenting very, very recently. If you were to ask me that a couple of months ago, I would say no. And the reason that we don't is because the fire marshal has told us that we can't spray nitrocellulose in our spray booth. Recently, I've gotten some, I've recently been able to do that in a different location. So we can spray nitrocellulose, not in our shop, but at somewhere else now. And so the real question, a guy holding is, does a guy holding, is he willing to pay for nitrocellulose upgrade? Because if you're willing to pay, we're willing to do it.
There's added cost to you in having to go to another booth and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Well, and there's all the buffing associated with a gloss finish, whether it's nitrocellulose or urethane. So yeah. So if I'll answer your question with a question of mine. Yes, we will. Are you willing to pay for it? So yeah. That one that I showed you, by the way, is kind of a version of, Gibson had a new series that they did. I think they called it the 55. And I'm like, oh, I really like that kind of green color. And it turned out really neat. I really dig it. We're doing one with the 73 finish, and Chris likes it better, but I don't like it as much. Yeah. So it's the best thing I can do, man. So Guy Holding says it seems reasonable if you're incurring costs to do, and I am. So, and you know what? Fender is too. Gibson is too. If you look at the price, the retail price of our guitars are less than Gibson and Fender. So I could just charge more and include it. And yeah, but anyway. Okay. So, well, I think that should wrap us up. These videos are supposed to be like 15 minutes. This one was about a half hour, but this was a fun topic. And I think it's fun when people bellyache about stuff. I like to bellyache about stuff. Sure. Do you like it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's just complain about stuff all day.
We could do that. The next one, we'll just sit here and bitch.
No. I mean, like
what sucks is traffic.
Rose or Purple Heart.
Yeah. Sanding Purple
Heart. Yeah, it
does.
One suck.
Right now.
Yeah. Okay, guys, we'll see you next time for another one of these. I'm not 100% sure if tomorrow there'll be one or not, but we'll see you for the next one. And have a great day, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.
Oh, I got to figure out how to push it. Don't you hate it when you can't push the button? Come on, this is dumb. Who said that? Look at this. This is like stupid. Wow. I can't.